Welcome into Behind the Brand podcast. I'm host Adam Hayes with my co-host Bob Paden to my right.
Good afternoon.
And our guest today, Shawna Lake with Deep End Talent Strategies.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
We finally made it.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here. Yes. Yeah, sorry for the reschedules, but I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to hear.
That means you're busy.
Tell us about Deep End.
Well, we're a human resources and learning and development consulting firm. We're a woman-owned business based in Central Indiana, and we provide HR solutions for companies who otherwise would not need or want in-house HR. But we are there whenever they have employee relations issues or learning and development challenges.
So how do they come to have those challenges, and then how do they come to find you?
Well, hopefully they find us in a lot of different ways, but usually from referrals.
Okay.
But when they have those challenges, sometimes it's growth. It's exciting things that are happening. Sometimes they have to make some difficult decisions. It might be downsizing. It might be somebody making some poor choices, some decisions. It could be employee relations issues. Sometimes recruiting could be a learning and development retraining issue, or just wanting to upskill their talent.
Sure.
Sometimes they are, I had an email this morning of, I want to know how I can make sure that my team that the workload is distributed equally and that they have the right roles and responsibilities. And when do I need to hire someone else before they get burned out, but using my resources appropriately? So those are fun
that's
projects.
A cool challenge.
Yeah, that's a small question to ask. Right. Just on the phone.
Right. It's a good, juicy project for an HR team.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And it's a nonprofit that's willing to invest in their team if they need to, but they want to obviously have as few headcount as they need to. And
Sure.
just need to know, when do I need to hire that next person? And if I did, what would that position be?
And then what should we budget for? Maybe?
Exactly. Yeah. Because then we then create the job description, and then we help them decide, okay, in this market, what would that compensation range be? And then we'll help them recruit for it.
So tell us.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So you're literally what I'll call a bit of the full life cycle from recruitment to exit, right? In a certain way? Right?
Yes. We love to be that full life cycle.
Sure.
If they only need pieces and parts, we're willing to do that too.
Sure. Nice.
Yeah.
Tell us about your story. How did you come to find the company?
Do you want the short version or the long version?
The long version. We want the whole story.
Can I tell you? I mean, and I'll tell the audience as well. She shared this story a month ago.
Yeah.
With my Purdue class, 2 classes, and I'd heard pieces of it, but never the whole thing. I mean, I sat there, I had chills.
Aww.
It's really cool. So I'll let you tell it.
So
but
let's hear
it's
the
a
whole
really
thing.
neat story.
Okay. So I've been in human resources my whole career, and I was working for a company not too far from here, built their HR model, and they, after about 3 years, they said, can you move into our external affairs division and take your change management experience and revamp this process for us? And I was like, that actually sounds like a nice breakaway from human resources for a couple of years. And I was consulting in HR, but not doing day to day. And actually that was kind of fun, because if somebody didn't like their boss, it wasn't actually my problem, but I still did project work. And I did that for 2 years. It was a really successful project. And then I went back to the leadership and said, okay, that was fun. Now I'm ready to go back to HR. And they said, oh, wait, we actually want you to do something else. So another 2 years went by. And I said, all right, now I really need to know what the path is back to HR. I was still doing a lot of HR projects, but I'm an HR person at heart. I needed to be back into HR full time. And the path originally had been that I would take over as the VP of HR on a succession plan. And so they said, okay, we're working on it. And so we sat down to figure out what the working on it meant.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, congratulations, you're moving to Arkansas. And
is that where they're headquartered?
No.
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 Of course not.
And Arkansas is lovely, and the people are lovely, but for a lot of reasons, that was not the right time for my family to move.
Sure.
I had well-adjusted middle schoolers, which I always joke is an oxymoron. And my husband also owns a business in Indianapolis, and it just wasn't the right time.
You didn't want to pick it up and move it to Arkansas.
No. After we left your class, we were walking back to the car, and my son attends Purdue and actually just kind of popped in and listened to me speak, which it was very cool to have him there.
Sure.
And I didn't actually expect him to show up. And he said, Mom, I'm glad we didn't go, but it probably would have turned out okay, which I thought was really nice. But as we were having this conversation, when they were telling me that I'm moving to Arkansas, I realized they've gone far down this path. This wasn't an invitation. This was, you're going, and we've decided where you're going to live. We know what church we'd like you to attend and what school we'd like you to send your kids to. And they've essentially redesigned my life. And
was this a job or a political appointment?
I'll let you decide.
Yeah.
And it was towards the end of the day. So I got in my car and I honestly couldn't breathe. And I thought, how did I go from being a high performance, high potential individual on a succession plan to not having the ability to control where I live and where I worship and where my kids go to school.
Nor even be asked.
Exactly.
Right.
And have no say in this. And I felt like I literally couldn't feel my lungs. The only other time that I could remember not being able to breathe was when I was about 7 and I was at a hotel swimming pool and I was in the shallow end hanging out with my siblings. And my stepdad said, get out there and swim. You can do it. I've been paying for swimming lessons. And to teach me a lesson, he picked me up and threw me in the deep end of the pool to prove to me that I could swim. And I remember thinking, what a jerk, being mad, being scared, feeling betrayed, and giving my 7-year-old self a pep talk about just get your head above water, take a breath, find the nearest edge, get yourself out of the water, and then you can process your feelings. So I gave my 40-something self that pep talk in the car. And on my 20-minute drive home, I decided that my what's next is going to be helping other people when they feel like they've been thrown into the deep end, as it relates to business and life and career. And I designed a business with a name and a slogan. And I kind of had a logo in my mind.
All on the drive home.
And I walked into the door and walked into the house and I looked at my husband and he said, hi. And I said, we're not moving to Arkansas. And he goes, yeah. And I said, I'm going to start a business. And I told him everything that I had thought about. And he said, cool. What time do you want to have dinner?
Wow.
Yeah. So some people think about a business for years
Right.
and they put together a business plan. And that's how I did it.
That's really cool.
I would call that
cool.
a crystallizing moment.
Right?
I mean,
Yeah.
just all those pieces, probably maybe subliminally over time, you would racked up this kind of list of things, and then all at one point, just wham, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But the whole pool thing, by the way, my dad did that too.
He did?
Yeah, yeah.
To you?
Yeah. It's
How
just
old were you?
Oh, probably the same age. And, done in fun.
right.
But, we didn't take swimming. We didn't have swimming lessons, right? But
Well, that was back in the time where you didn't have time for feelings.
that's
right?
correct.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was like, I remember him doing it. I don't remember the people's names because somebody in our church, I forget, but I do remember that feeling. It's not good feeling.
No, and it wears on you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I forgave him later. Right?
Back then, they wouldn't even acknowledge that you had a feeling about it.
No. So. Yeah.
So if we're allowed to give parenting advice on the podcast,
Why not?
I would say let's not throw our kids into the deep end of a pool.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Maybe
Let's start there.
Maybe just have
You don't
one
have to
little
go into the
backup
deep end of a
plan.
pool to start a company.
Correct.
Right?
Right. No,
Yeah.
no.
No, for sure.
So what are some of the challenges currently facing the HR industry as a whole?
So it's an interesting time with the fluctuating job markets. We had the Great Resignation, and now the job market's flooded, and it's finding the right person for positions. I posted a position this morning for an HR director, and I had 202 applications in the first 10 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
And I just checked
10 minutes.
10 minutes, and I just checked my email when I got here. Fortunately, they go into, thank goodness for Microsoft, they go into that other column. But I have 600 since the time that I went to lunch and then came here. I don't know if they're good. And the problem is that a lot of them will not be qualified, and it's taking the time to sort through those.
Sure.
And so it's finding the needle in the haystack to fill those positions. But a lot of people are in the job market, and it's fine. It's always about finding the right person for a position, but it's about sorting through more people to find the right position. Also about being, go ahead.
No, you and I had talked about it, I think, last week in a conversation that, the pendulum is swung. Now the swung or the swing, whichever the one is a little bit back on the employer side now because of that. And so that's changing a whole dynamic that I would say even some people are not used to. It's been a while. I think they're trying to adjust to that and that reality, and some people are adjusting better to it than others. There's just some people that are just totally caught flat-footed, and almost you kind of just can tell they're not quite sure what to do because they've never been alive long enough and been in the workforce long enough to go through that cycle yet. So just curious if you see that or not.
Yes. With the fact that it's kind of a buyer's market again, salaries are coming down.
Right.
And people have adjusted their standard of living to their higher salaries.
Sure.
And some people are how we used to joke about how people are holding out for management.
Yeah.
Now people are holding out for their 6-figure jobs that people want to pay $80,000 again for.
Right.
That the market that probably were valued at $80,000 to begin with, but they could demand more over the past 5 years.
Sure.
And so people are having to reset expectations all around. And also benefits are really difficult to offer to your employees at an increasing level. The cost of health insurance is rising.
Yep.
So we could have a whole other podcast about benefits, but
Sure.
Right.
A lot of people put off healthcare, seeking healthcare during the pandemic for a lot of reasons, a lot of good reasons.
Yes.
And then when they started getting that care again, healthcare costs started to go up. And then in the past 2 years, doctors and hospitals were renegotiating their
That
contracts
is correct.
with these carriers. So now those costs are adjusting for the increased care. Now those costs are being passed on to employers who are having to make some difficult decisions about, do I continue to offer the rich benefits that I did before? Do I stop offering insurance, give people a stipend, let them go get health insurance on the exchange? So some people are finding that their starting salaries are also cooling off, and their benefit packages may not be as
What they
rich
used to be.
as
Sure.
they used to be. And so for HR professionals to think about, how do I still maintain a positive culture? How do I be a strategic business partner to owners to give them these kinds of advice? How do I attract and retain people amongst all of these changes, or, making for just another day at the office?
So,
I mean, it's like the foundation is resetting. Like when you were talking there, what I'm thinking of is Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Exactly.
And safety and security is the foundation, and part of that is benefits and pay. So yeah, that's a big challenge to how do you continue to build a culture on top of that when that feels rocky?
It's a challenge, and I think you have to have, as an HR person, you have to really get down to the employee level, and you have to educate, and you have to show that you care about them. Mm-hmm. So from an education perspective, for example, it might mean I can't tell you to go to Anthem about our fully insured healthcare plan and get this concierge level of care, but I can show you how to go get insurance off of the exchange, and it's still the same insurance.
Right.
I just need to hold your hand and walk you through how to go to healthcare.gov and select the best plan for you. And it's taking more time at the individual level,
Right.
but you've got to take the time, and you've got to be an HR person who actually cares and recognizes that the employees need that level of care and support.
Awesome. And do you feel like larger organizations are doing that?
I think that the HR people who are going to be successful and are going to be the ones that people want to work with over the next few years are the ones who are going to get that.
Sure. Awesome.
But also understand how business works and be strategic business partners. I've had some people over the last few years in some HR Facebook groups when they say, how do you become an HR business partner? How do I advance to the next level? I've said, you need to understand how the business makes money.
Right.
And how the business works. I've had them argue with me about why that should matter if you're a certified HR professional.
Right.
And like, if you don't understand,
you just made yourself irrelevant.
if you don't understand why that
Right.
matters,
Yeah.
then you are making yourself a
less
dinosaur.
relevant. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
It's all
For sure.
interconnected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, I mean, if you look out through your crystal ball as you head into the rest of, we're almost into middle of Q2, 25. What do you see in that 25, 26 timeframe happening from your end, and what are you hearing, seeing?
That's a great question. I think
The crystal ball, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to watch it really carefully to see what evolves. I think that the labor market's going to continue to be tight. The U.S. Census Bureau estimates to meet our demand or to meet our requirements for labor said in the by 2030 that it would be dependent on immigration.
Wow.
So changing immigration laws and views on immigration are going to make it more difficult
Sure.
to meet demand to fill jobs.
Okay.
Now, people losing their jobs and flooding the job market does make people available. Does it make the right people available for the
Correct.
jobs that we need to fill?
Right.
That's
Don't know.
to be determined.
Then does that lend itself to training, retraining?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Could lend itself to retraining needs, upskilling, reskilling. As being able to pivot and find those opportunities is going to be important. I think we're going to have to really pay attention to the human aspect of HR.
Sure.
We sometimes do. It sounds cliche, but talk about
Yeah.
putting the human back
Right.
in human resources. There has been, and probably still is, a trend of calling it people operations and changing the name of the function.
Yeah.
It's still about the human.
Right.
Yeah.
It's still always
People
going to be
just don't
HR
like-
to me.
We are
People
humans
don't-
that are at work.
There are just, I remember human resource, I remember, and I don't know, it may have been a certain superintendent that called people humans. Right? And it's a little, I understand humans as a general term, but when I'm speaking to you, you're calling you just a human is a little straight. You're a person,
Yeah.
right? It's,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, maybe it's just tone. I don't know, but it's, yeah, but I agree. Having someone just to actually listen, and I've had some really awful HR people in my past and some really good ones, and the ones that stick out are the ones that listened. All they did was listen, probably rolling their eyes or grabbing the chair along the way,
No,
et
I
cetera,
mean,
right? But
they care.
correct.
Yeah. Or they wouldn't listen.
May have not changed a thing that happened, but the fact that you were actually just listened to was pretty nice. It really was.
Yeah. I think we have, in my observation, I think we've settled into the remote hybrid on-site. I think
Yeah.
people have decided, businesses have decided what jobs are which now, and we're clear when we post positions,
Right.
which it
Yeah.
is, and so we don't see as many people now having their status change. That most of that is in the past now.
So do you think the pool of available people now is a little skewed to I had my remote job, now I don't anymore, but yet the supply of those jobs is no longer in their favor? I mean, do you see that or not?
I see there are some positions that are remote now that didn't used to be, because some businesses have said, I can save a lot of money if I don't pay for real estate.
You bet.
And then there are a lot of people who have said, we miss a big part of our culture when we're not together, at least some of the
agreed.
time. So it probably normalized. You know,
Okay.
I don't know the actual.
That might be the best situation possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then everybody gets what they need. You know, you get time together and you get time away to work and take care of other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of employees have also said, I realize that while it might be convenient to wear my yoga pants all day, I am a better employee when I also am in the office, or I also do
When I
need
show up.
interaction, which
Sure.
is useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend to let's say 50-person business, right? They've maybe a trade-based bit. Let's just pick one, right? White collar's a little different, but let's pick trade-based, where you have what I would call the split between the office folk, right, and the people in the field. People in the field don't get the option of staying home in their jammies, right? And so, as you look out, like we talked about what's happening right now in 25 job market, how's an owner supposed to start thinking in terms of the split? Because there's, in a corporate world, there was always the upstairs, downstairs. Well, I see it happening in smaller businesses now, that some people were able, over the course of COVID and beyond, to not show up at the office, but yet it causes some challenges that then have to be over. So I'm just kind of curious, you're seeing that. What do you recommend to an owner?
Yeah. If you remember, maybe this didn't happen to you, but when you were a child, if your parents ever said, because I said so,
Yeah.
it's not very satisfying, right?
No.
Like you really want to understand why something is a rule is or isn't. So as a business owner, you have the prerogative to say why, or just to say yes or no and just decide. But my advice is have a good reason. So if you say that everybody has to be in the office because some people don't have a choice, fine, that's your prerogative as a business owner. But I would recommend articulating why, that it's important for your culture, that you tried it and you saw a decline in team engagement or morale or something. Have a reason. You don't have to have a reason because you're the owner. But I
it
think
sure helps.
If you want to keep your good people,
exactly,
you should
I think
do
it
that.
helps.
Yeah.
I think it helps. Ideally, I would say have it be based on the needs of the position, and say yes, we realize that some jobs you cannot do remotely. You could not be a field salesperson without being in the field, or an HVAC tech from home. Now, maybe the technology will get there where you could do that from your drone, but
that may be a while.
Maybe
still, yeah.
But there are some positions where perhaps your AP clerk really could do that from home. And at the end of the day, do we care where they do it, if they're productive and efficient? And if you care, why do you care?
Right.
And if you care, articulate why you care. That would be my advice.
And then do you use that as an example? Do you think there's also a shift in mindset around, I'll call it button seat for hours versus productivity?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
You still see that as a challenge?
And if someone is an hourly employee, then it does matter.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
Yeah. If someone is truly exempt and salaried, then why does it matter? Then we should just be glad that the work is getting done. And if it's a beautiful day and all the work is done, let them leave at 3:00.
Right.
Because they might have worked 50 hours last week.
Yeah.
Right.
But it should be about the work.
Yeah.
Getting done.
So do you see that though in this, if they're salaried, do you still see the mindset of 40 hours a week, button seat type of thing?
And I usually coach leaders that if that is your mindset, let's evaluate whether this really is an exempt salary position.
Right.
Because if you have the mentality of docking someone's pay, you pay them salary, but you have the mentality of wanting to dock their pay when they don't work a full 40 hours, then they probably are not exempt.
Interesting.
That's a good point.
Because if you're paying them salary just to avoid paying them overtime, you are making a commitment to pay them whether they work 1 hour or 100 hours that week.
Right.
It has to go both ways.
Exactly.
So if you can't wrap your brain around that, you just better make them hourly. Because you can never go wrong making somebody eligible for overtime and paying them by the hour.
Right.
It becomes problematic if you do the reverse and they're working overtime, but they really are non-exempt and you're not paying them overtime.
So, I mean, is this a little bit of what I call the vestige leftovers of previous job descriptions, those kind of things, and what I call the past now kind of bumping into current world, where they may just be insufficient given new world we're finding ourselves in, right? I would bet that 95% of job descriptions haven't changed in 5 years, but yet the whole world's changed.
Yeah.
So just curious.
I would hope it was, I would like to say it's just about the outdated job descriptions, but I think it's more of a mindset of some people saying if some of it is, if I don't see you working, I don't believe you're working.
Right.
And some of it is, I don't want to pay you if I don't think you're working. And so that would be that difference of an hourly mindset. But there are definitely some outdated job descriptions. Or some people, when I say, do you have job descriptions? And they laugh at me.
Yes.
and that's fine. I say, well, we'll just do that first.
Here we are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I find a lot of, especially smaller businesses, they don't have an org chart. They don't have names in boxes. Or if they did, it's like 3 years out of date and half the people are gone. And then they look at the actual description and it's wrong, right? And so they just kind of give up, right? But it's really important so people know what they're supposed to be doing, what they're accountable for, i.e. what you're paying them for.
Yeah.
It seems, I don't know. I know to a smaller business, maybe it feels like you're being too corporate-y, but there's just some things that, when you hire, why are you hiring them? Why do you need them for? Well, because I feel I do.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There has to be a reason, right? And then you're trying to fill a hole for something that needs to be defined so that you know whether or not that employee is productive enough to pay for itself, right?
One of the things that I am proud of how we serve clients, though, is not changing their culture, not making them feel corporate if that's not their culture. And some people left the corporate world to start their own business because of HR, because of the environment that HR created in that company. And I wouldn't want to create something that they left, create the kind of environment they left. So we like to come in and still protect the things that work well in their culture and also make sure they're being compliant and help take them to the next level and help them grow their business.
Nice. What do you see maybe the top 2 or 3 things that are just true, real problems you get from all of your clients?
The silliest thing is just make sure you have labor law posters. It seems like the most outdated law. It really is outdated, but it's still a thing.
It's still a
to have.
got to have it hanging somewhere.
If you have a physical office, you need to have labor law posters.
Adam?
They're not in a closet.
If you have all remote employees, you're supposed to have a digital set of labor law posters.
Hey, there's a
Where
on your
employees,
company drive or something like that.
Yep, where all your employees know how they can
access.
find them.
Sure.
So again, it seems silly. That's kind of we do an assessment with all of our clients to start and hit some of those compliance things first, and then we shore up any compliance gaps. An employee handbook that either doesn't exist or hasn't been reviewed in 5 years, or one that they downloaded off the internet that didn't actually take time to read to see if it applies to them or their industry.
Yeah.
Is something that we do to close up gaps really, really quickly. There are a lot of other things that we find. I'm trying to think of what's common across a lot of other companies. The difference between salaried and exempt versus non-exempt is really complicated. And there was a lot of talk in 2024 about the minimum salary threshold increasing.
Correct.
And people get very confused about that because you have to earn $35,564,000, I think, and meet a duties test by the Department of Labor. Both things have to be true. So it has to be about the nature of the job and the minimum salary.
Okay.
Some people got very confused and thought that was a new minimum wage, which was not true.
It's not. It's a threshold.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then there was an increase on July 1st, 2024 of that minimum salary threshold. And there was going to be another increase on January 1st, 2025 that didn't happen and then actually reversed the July increase. So now that we're back to the 35,000 and some change. And I think it's going to stay there for quite some time. But some people think as long as I pay people that 35,000, it doesn't actually matter what they do. I just don't have to pay them overtime.
Right.
I can just make them salaried. And so we see that a lot. So we try to educate people to make sure they're being compliant.
So what is the duties test?
So the duties test is there are a few different ways that people have to pass the exemption. So it can be about being an administrative professional, which is not like a secretary, but having the ability to hire and fire, having budgetary authority. You can have a professional exemption. So being like an engineer, a doctor, an architect, not an RN does actually not qualify.
Right.
So you actually have to read it carefully. Some high-level technical IT positions count, but like not help desk kind of roles. So it's really about your level of discretion or degrees and specialties or some executive positions.
Yeah.
There are a few different kinds. And in terms of government websites, the Department of Labor's, as it relates to the Fair Labor Standards Act, is actually not terrible.
Is it understandable?
Not
digestible?
Decently, yes.
Decently not terrible.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes.
But we should still call you.
Yes,
Of course.
there's a lot of gray area.
Yeah.
And when in doubt, like I said, you can't go wrong making someone eligible for overtime.
Yeah. Can we talk about you a little bit?
Please, yeah.
Tell us about your family.
I've been married to my husband, Chris, for almost 24 years. And we have 2 children. They're both going to be at Purdue in the fall.
Oh, wow.
Well, we're up.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Almost 20 and 17. Yeah.
Is that where you guys went? Did you go to Purdue?
No, we both went to Ball State.
Ball State.
Okay. That's where I went too.
Yeah. So we are Cardinals and have no idea how we got these Boilermakers.
Right?
I just found the right
What are they gonna
school.
study?
I'm just saying.
Our son is an econ major.
Okay.
And has a psychology minor, and actually called us last week and said, I don't know how this happened, but I think I can graduate in 3 years. So I said,
darn.
you have my full
Right.
support.
Yes. Fantastic.
Where do I sign?
Exactly. Exactly. And then probably stay a 4th year and get his master's. So cool.
Nice.
That would be fantastic. And then our daughter is going to be a math teacher,
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
which we need great teachers.
Right.
I do.
Yeah.
Especially
we do.
math.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
That's
So what do you like to
fantastic.
do for fun?
I love to travel.
Yeah.
So I have been to,
So you've got a checklist, I think.
I am trying to see all
Right.
50 states before I turn 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 1 state left to go.
And which state is that?
Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it planned, or is there something happening there?
We are going spring of 2026.
Okay.
And we didn't think we had to be careful about when, but now we might have to plan it around a graduation.
Okay.
Right.
If my son's
that's
graduating
true.
next year.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's a good problem.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we will, it was actually going to be the first vacation that we planned without having to think about our kids' schedule because they were both going to be in college.
Yeah.
So
this is going to be a vacation instead of a trip.
it is. Yeah. Yeah. So Alaska, and then I'll have been to all 50 states. And then
Nice.
after we're going to Europe this summer for my daughter's graduation celebration. That's what she wanted as a gift. And then I think that'll be 17 or 18 countries.
Oh, cool.
So I love to travel.
Yeah,
I work to travel.
So what is it about travel? Is it the study of the place and the culture of the place and the people of the place? Is it also about food? What is it for you?
It's really about learning about people. I think probably because I'm in HR and I like to study people,
Right. Sure.
but seeing how they live, but also a chance to see my family in a different place. I love to travel with my family and just have time to talk about them. When we're on vacation, we plan our next vacation because we have time to talk to each other and
Nice.
and just connect.
Neat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, any opportunity for kids to either be or live outside the country, I think is really important. We got to experience that.
Yeah.
As stressful as it can be for them, man, do they learn a lot of things
Oh, yes.
that they don't learn otherwise.
Yeah.
Right. They get outside their bubble a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
right. Well, I think you learn how good you have things when you see how other people live.
yep.
They also, I think, learn how to be in different and not be so stressed in different situations. So they've been able to jump on a subway in Rome, so I wouldn't feel uncomfortable having them go
Right.
to New York or Chicago or LA. I mean, I might because I'm mom,
Yes.
but I know they can navigate that because they've been in other cities. And I
bet.
wouldn't have. My son's going to be in Columbia, not at Columbia, but in Columbia,
Yeah.
studying abroad this summer. And of course, I'm nervous, but he has been in other countries. He knows how to get an
He's
Uber.
just swivel his head a bit.
Yeah, yeah, and he knows. Yeah, he knows
Sure.
to look for things that might seem odd. He knows how to put his hand over his wallet, and he'll be hopefully fine. But
He'll be all right.
that exposure is just helpful.
Sure.
Did you ever think about anthropology as a degree?
Never.
Never? Okay.
No, I always knew I wanted to be a business major. I couldn't imagine not being a business major. I chose Ball State for international business. It was between Franklin or Ball State
Right.
because they had international business. And then my first month or so, Ball State canceled their international business program.
But you were there?
I was there. And so I thought,
Let's
well,
pivot, right?
what am I going to do now? So I thought, well, I'm good at math, so I'll be an accounting major. So I took an accounting class, and I still think debit and credit are backwards.
Yes.
And so I'm like,
Agree.
well, I cheated my way through Accounting 101, and I'm definitely not an accountant. When I started my business, even though I was bootstrapping everything, the very first thing I outsourced was hiring a CPA.
Absolutely.
Best decision I ever made. So I was like, well, I'm definitely not an accounting major. So then I thought, well, what should I do next? And so then I switched to finance because I'm like, well, it's also numbers, but it's just not accounting.
Right.
I took a finance class, and the professor was a jerk. And I was like, well, I would have to have him several other times. So I'm like, well, definitely not going to do finance. So I was talking to a friend of mine who was an RA, and at this point I'm in my second year, but I'm taking all the business classes.
Clock's ticking, right?
I'm feeling all this pressure. And so I was an RA, and I was talking to one of my friends, and he was also a business major. He was a marketing major. And I was like, marketing is cool, but I'm not that cool. So I'm like, I don't think I could be a marketing.
Like Adam.
Yeah, I definitely can't hang with the Adams of the world. So I don't think I could be a marketing major. So I was like, help me. What am I going to do? Because I feel like in my heart, I'm a business major.
Right.
And so I was going through the course catalog, and this, if it wasn't obvious that I'm not young, you know that you're old when you had a printed course catalog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going through the course catalog with the paper thin pages, like phone book pages, which obviously some people would never even know what a phone book is.
Correct.
But I had gone through that so many times, and it turns out, I said, too bad you just can't be an actual management major. And he was like, yes, you can.
It's right here.
those pages were stuck together on
Were
the
they
first
really?
catalog.
Really?
Oh no.
When I separated those, it was like the
There it
heavens
was.
opened and the angels
gates
sung. And I was like, you can be a management major. And then there were these concentrations, and HR was one of them. And I read the description. I'm like, oh, that's me. And it was amazing.
Nice.
That's cool.
And now there is an actual HR management major at Ball State.
Oh, cool.
There wasn't at the time. So that was it. So all the classes were still in line. I mean, I'm taking all of the
sure.
business classes.
Right.
So I did a couple summers, but I still was able to graduate in 4 years. But 4 different majors later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you found it.
Yeah, I found
Right.
it. And then there was an organizational communication minor that they had said pairs very nicely, because there were interviewing classes, and there were a lot of other classes that were very helpful. And it did. So those two were a really nice combination for human resources.
Cool.
Nice.
But no, nothing in anthropology. I did take psychology and sociology. I do like to study people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I thought anthropology. It's
Yeah.
the study of culture and people. And
I thought about being.
I've always thought that was fascinating. If I went back to school and wanted to get a degree, right?
Totally
I
different,
would get
right?
that. I would
Would
get
you?
yeah.
Yeah.
If I didn't have to worry about making money and doing that kind of stuff. If I was independently wealthy, I would just go study cultures and people and travel around the world.
Yeah.
Okay, how can you monetize that? Yeah.
I don't know.
Write a book.
Figure it out. Let me
Gotta be a
know.
way.
You could write a book
Paid
about
to
it.
travel.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. I did think about being an English teacher, like a high school English teacher,
Yeah.
briefly. And then
Briefly.
I did.
What was the deciding factor on that one?
I did, when I turned 18, I did got my substitute teaching
Right.
license.
Right.
And I did some substitute teaching. I had a migraine every day.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, these kids are terrible.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Little devils.
But funny story, one of the little kids, I don't know why or what they were doing watching daytime television, but one of the kids said, "You look like Ricky Lake." So they started calling me Mrs. Lake, but I had never even met my husband. That was not my name.
Interesting. And you do look
Well,
like
that's
Ricky Lake,
interesting.
by the way.
Yeah.
They foreshadowed what was going to
They
happen,
did.
right?
They
Yeah.
did.
Isn't that funny?
And then so I let them call me Mrs. Lake because I didn't know how to discipline kids. I was only 18.
Right. Were you guys dating at that point?
No, I didn't even know him.
Okay.
No, hadn't
Wow.
even met him. And so one of the other teachers, like, you need to discipline them. You can't let them call you something that isn't your name. I'm like, if that's the worst thing they do.
That's correct. I'm winning.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Yes,
fine.
exactly.
Because these kids are terrible and I'm never going
Let's
to be
let
a
them have
teacher.
a win. Right.
They think that gives them a little power. Go for it. Right?
Exactly.
So we were talking a little before we started up here, and so were you born in Cicero or were you born in Spencer?
I was
Or neither.
born in Kokomo. My parents
Oh,
lived
okay.
my parents lived in Cicero.
So tell us what all happened there. So was it Kokomo, then Cicero, then Spencer? Or?
I was born at a hospital in Kokomo, but they lived in Cicero.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And then when I was
Was it Howard Hospital? Is that what
It
Howard
was
County.
St. Joe's.
Yeah.
St. Joe. Okay.
Yeah. And then they moved to Spencer to be closer. Both of my parents are from Spencer.
Okay.
So they moved to Spencer to be closer to family. My dad was a salesman for Nabisco. So he traveled a lot. And my mom was a baton twirler teacher.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
I know,
That's
right?
snitchy,
I know.
right?
Is that marching band related?
Yes.
Okay.
And she was a national judge. She was very good.
Oh, wow.
And she could do like the multiple, like they throw them up and like spin around.
Yeah.
And so she would do that like nights and weekends and things. So basically a stay-at-home mom for the first few years. So she wanted to be closer to family. So they moved back to Spencer, and that's where I was the
Gotcha.
first few years.
Back to Cicero real
So-
quick. Did you live in Cicero at all?
Just as a baby.
Do you know where? I'm just curious.
No.
No? Okay.
I could ask.
I would. It'd be interesting because
Yeah.
we lived both downtown and then on the north end. We moved in the middle, but I drive through every once in a while just to reminisce.
Do you remember where it was?
Oh, I know specifics. I mean, but that was our playground. right?
Okay.
I mean, oh yeah, Morse Reservoir before all the development really came.
Yeah.
All those we played in the lake.
Were you skipping rocks and all that?
Oh, we were killing fish. We were, I mean, you name it. We did all the things that
Cut that
parents
part
now,
off.
yeah, all the things your parents now would just totally freak out and think, my God, they're going to die.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
You were being kids.
BMX bikes off, dirt mounds into the lake and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
If our kids
I will
that did
ask.
that today, we
Correct. You'd kind of
be
thrash
like,
them.
guys, you can't jump in.
Or the police would bring them home, right?
Yeah. Yes.
The police would probably arrest the parents
Yes.
Correct.
for allowing
Or both.
that.
Correct.
Or both, yes. I will ask where
I'd
they
be
lived
curious.
when I was a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So grew up in Spencer for most of really all of my childhood. My parents got divorced. My mom moved to Connecticut for a few years. And so I would spend a few months there a year visiting, but Spencer was always my home base.
Gotcha.
And then I went to Ball State.
Cool.
And then I graduated 2 years before my husband because I'm a year older in school. We were born in the same calendar year. I always like to remind him of that. But I was a year older in school, and he's an architect, so it was a 5-year program. So when I met him, he's from West Virginia. He said, "Just so you know, I will never live in Indiana. It's too flat."
And where do you guys live?
Oh, we live in Indiana. So you can see how that turned out.
Yeah.
But I said, fine. I've been here my whole life. I'll go anywhere. Because he grew up in the mountains, so that's what he wanted.
Sure.
I said, when I graduate, I'm just going to get a job in Indianapolis. When you graduate, we'll figure out where we really want to live.
Yeah, sure.
But he did an internship in Indianapolis that never ended. So he was on a project at Ball Memorial Hospital during his internship. So he just kept working on it when he went back to finish his 5th year in college. And then when he graduated, they said, "So we'll see you Monday." And there was never any formal offer or conversation. He just kept working. And 13 years later, I looked at him and said, "Oh yeah, we weren't going to live here."
Right. He's like, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now his parents actually moved and they live 5 minutes from us. And some of my
Your
siblings
kids may
have
do the
moved
same
and
thing
live
too,
in
by the
Boone
way.
County closer to us.
Yeah.
And
We had some children that said, "I'll never live here again."
Right. Yeah.
so,
They're even so close. And we won't go there. But she knows.
so it sticks. It can stick with
it
you.
does.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, how should people reach out to you if they need some HR help?
Yeah. So they can personally connect with me on LinkedIn. So Shawna Lake, Shawna, Lake, Lake. It's amazing how I have to spell Lake. People try to make it more complicated than it is.
What's the strangest spelling of that?
Blake. People try to put a B on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah.
No B in Lake.
No. Yeah. And then Deep in Talent Strategies. So we're on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for finally arriving after all the times we rescheduled and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a great journey. I'm glad it finally happened. So
It's a great conversation. Thanks
Yeah,
for
it
having
was.
me.
you're welcome.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks all.